Hey y'all, Cecile here. Welcome to Playing with Possibilities. I am joined by my friends and colleagues, Christine Gautreaux and Anifowose. Um, on Playing with Possibilities, we talk about everything from spirituality to social justice, from being human to connecting with our ancestors, how the things we do create our reality, and how we can intentionally create our collective reality together. My name is Cecile Armstrong. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a Black woman and a self care and social justice facilitator, streaming to y'all from the ancestral lands of the Tutelo, colonized now as Roanoke, Virginia. I'm the founder of Inspired by Indigo, an online membership community where I guide folks to let go of blame, shame, and guilt so we can make equity a habit. Every month, we go through my four pillars. We come together and offer each other support and create a habit of undoing what we've learned and lived about race, privilege, and equality. And those four steps are self care, getting in your body, know your facts, because you got to know your history to undo myths and lies, undoing the work, which means taking what we've learned out into the community to make a difference, and then resting and celebrating so that we can stave off disillusionment and burnout. If you are watching on Facebook, or LinkedIn, please hit like or follow. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit subscribe and then click that little bell so you get a notification the next time we go live. And thank you for joining us. And I'll turn it over to my friends so they can introduce themselves.
Go ahead, Christine.
Hey y'all, I'm Christine Gautreaux, she, her pronouns. I'm zooming in from the ancestral land of the Muskogee Creek, and I am a white social justice advocate who is an author, an entrepreneur, a dancing social worker, speaker, who knows what else is thrown in there depending on the day. But what I do is my through line through my whole work is self and community care. And I work on building just communities in an embodied way. So, that's through the Women Connected in Wisdom podcast, the Women Connected in Wisdom community, and my consulting work with organizations and groups. So I am delighted to be here with y'all today. Hopefully, my tongue will work on this Monday, and I'm passing to my friend Daddy.
You're passing it to me or the tongue thing. Let's see what happens. I am Anifowose. I'm a transformational agent, mindset coach, a podcaster, as well as a sacred drummer, which is one of the things that I really love to do. I don't do it often, but I want to do it more and more because it takes me to places that fuels me and rejuvenates me, renews me. And my work is really all about that too. It's about really taking a deeper dive in what it means to be a spiritual being. And my program it's called Representing Our Ancestors. So we look at grief rituals as well as meaning of names. What's in a name? And we use names to connect to connect to deep wisdom and a sense of
Mhm.
belonging. And there are other parts of like not only do we learn about who we are, but what's the vision that we have for the future? And the vision that we have, we need to start living it now. So for me, it's helping people just live a healthy life, feel strengthened in their sense of belonging, and showing up fully in whatever it is they're doing, however they want to show up. Nobody gets to define that but you.
hmm And I can attest to your drumming. I don't know why you don't do it more often because I got to experience it more than once this weekend at the BIPOC Interplay family gathering. And oh my goodness, I was doing dance moves I haven't done in years when I was listening to your drumming. So, yes,
Mhm.
yes, yes,
Thank
yes.
you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Mhm. Okay, so we had said we were going to talk today about looking out for the people, the quiet people, not the noisy ones who are like, I need this, or, oh my God, they're always in a panic, but actually paying attention to the people who are the ones who usually show up and who are quiet and who people look at and go, oh my gosh, you're so strong, you're my rock. And talking about how just because people are giving doesn't mean they don't need to receive too. And talking about just
Yes.
because they're the ones who normally give the care, they probably need more care than some other people because they're so used to giving.
Hmm. Hmm.
Mhm.
Can we
Yeah.
breathe
I
before
was
we jump into the subject? Because, like, I'm feeling that in my belly. I am like, woo, okay.
Thank you,
yeah,
Christine.
yeah. As soon as I stopped talking, I was like, I need a breath, but I didn't say that. Yeah, yeah. I
Oh, Lord.
do. I need a breath. All right. So, all right. If y'all will breathe with me. All right. I'm inviting you to sit up straight to give your belly room to expand, and then go ahead and close your eyes. And with your eyes closed, notice how you feel. Notice how you're sitting in your body. Where are your shoulders? Are you clenching your jaw? Are you holding your breath? Relax that belly. Nobody's looking. Let it hang out. And then take in a deep belly breath and let your belly just expand forward to the sides. You might even feel it in your back. Breathe in really deeply. And then let it go at your own pace. All right, that was just our warm up breath. We're going to do one more breath. And this time, this time I want you to focus on the exhale. And instead of just letting it go gently, I want you to push it out and like really just push out all the air that you can get out. Just push it, push it, push it. Let all the stale stuff in the bottom of your lungs get all of it out. So let's take a deep breath again and push it out. And now we're going to do one more. And this one is just a cleansing one. We push the stale air out. And so now we're going to take a deep breath and fill it up with new, fresh oxygen. Whew. And then just let go at your own pace. And as you're exhaling, really settle into your body. Notice how you feel. If you need to wiggle around a little bit, shake your shoulders out, shake your arms, wiggle your feet. Just really notice how you feel in your body. And then open your eyes. Whew. Okay, y'all are quiet.
Aren't we talking about the quiet ones today?
Touche. I like that we thank you for the breath because that's always grounding, of course, recentering. And what I know is even though sometimes I do forget, it just helps all the thoughts because when the question comes for me, I start receiving thoughts and ideas and downloading. So when
Hmm.
just as Kristen said, can we take a breath? I was like, oh, thank God, because something came up for me that I hadn't thought about since we talked about what we were going to be talking about.
Hmm.
And what came up for me, to be quite honest, is I, for me, I really know that there's a lot going on in the world. There's a lot going on in my world, and I tend to handle it oftentimes by myself. There are moments where it's difficult. There are moments where it's challenging, and there are few people that I would let in. I have a few people that I would say, "This is what's happening." But when you ask that question, one of the things that came up for me was, there's some people that are friends that I'm just not gonna let them in because in letting them in, it's like this is happening. There's this part where it becomes, oh my God, and you're the one we come to for answers. If you're
Hmm.
feeling all of this, I'm like, now I'm responsible for looking a certain kind of way when I'm having a human experience.
Hmm.
And then in that moment, in that rush before the break, before the breath, was, you know, in situations like that, what people can do is just send a text thinking about you. I love you.
Hmm.
I'll take that more than talking to somebody who comes to me. So anyway,
Hmm.
it's kind of random, but that's the first thought that came to me. It's like, yes, send me a
Hmm.
text. Send me your thing. Let me know you're thinking about me.
Hmm.
That's
Well,
good.
That was one of the things that I was thinking about when we came up with this topic. It was like, it
Mm,
doesn't have to be so serious, but if you're used to somebody always being there for you, showing up for you, having the answers, being your rock when you're falling apart, but then you don't reciprocate at all, not even, I
yes.
mean, you may say thank you and then keep it moving, but I
Mm-hmm.
know they've got my back, but who has their
Mm-hmm.
back? And it
Exactly.
doesn't always have to be something big. It could just be,
Mm-hmm.
hey, haven't talked to you in a while. You okay? Or,
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with you, but I just want to tell you I love you,
Right.
something.
Mm-hmm.
I think what you brought up, Ade, is a really important point for leaders,
Mm.
especially
Yes.
about the perception, right? That especially if we're working in, the coaching field, the spiritual field, the like, if you are seen as an expert, if you're a thought leader, right? Which
Mhm.
everybody on this call, I know we've been called that at different points in our careers. You that it's a vulnerability, right? And
Mhm.
that we do want to be vulnerable and show up authentic. And as Brene Brown says, not everybody deserves our vulnerability.
Nope.
Like,
Mhm.
is it
Yep.
somebody that can hold that space for us and be
Right.
and reciprocate, right?
Mhm.
And yeah, I think that's important. I think it's an important thing to look at. Like, who do we have in our inner circles that can hold that space for us?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
And sometimes um it's not always like this big emotional thing. Because you guys are now in my Facebook group, Meditations for Persistence. And you know the story of how that group started, as a response to people's, panic and anxiety about the 2016 election. And so I started this meditation group. And in the beginning, I'm doing showing up on Sundays, doing these live meditations, and I'm showing up throughout the week, and we're talking about human rights and social justice, and ended up with over 1,000 people in the group. But then when I would go live, like 5 people would show up. But then there's all this activity in the group still. And so I finally went live one day and was like, "You guys, I'm showing up to answer your questions. I'm showing up live and you don't show up live, and you may or may not make a comment when you do show up. It's like I'm giving all of this energy, and there's like
Yes.
1,000 of y'all, so I need y'all to respond if you want me to keep doing this." And when I shared that with the group, I got all of these responses from people going, "Oh, I didn't realize that you wanted and you needed anything from us. We thought you were just, going live, and so it took me saying, I'm doing this, but I need y'all to respond. I need y'all to say something." And then I also shared with them how hard it was for me at the time to go live. And I was like, this is hard. I'm called to do this, but I cried in the beginning. I cried before I went live because I
Mm,
was like very self-conscious about how I looked, and I cried before I went
mm,
live. And so I shared that, and then all of these women that were in the group were like, "We had no idea. I get nervous about doing stuff like this, and we just thought you had it all together." And I'm like, "No, I
mm,
don't, and I
mm,
need y'all to show up for me." And then that was when people started, making comments and showing up live, and letting me know that they actually appreciated what I was doing. So it doesn't have to be this like huge emotional thing. Sometimes it's just pointing out to people, I'm giving you this energy, but I'm not receiving it back.
Ooh, I had no idea that this conversation was going to be putting me out, talk about my business. Because when you start talking about that, I was like, oh, God. But one thing I know is, I mean, yeah, I am a private person, even though people may see me on my podcast or this podcast and think, oh, it's so whatever. But there's a part of me that's like, don't come in. But what you just talked about, Cecile, is what I don't. It's not a pet peeve. It's that thing that I don't understand, and sometimes I try and communicate it in a way that comes across not from a place of being pissed, and I'm not pissed. It's just like I don't understand it. We live in a society where we have a lot of information. There are
Mhm.
thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of podcasts. There's books, the ebooks that you get for free. So we are all spoiled. And sometimes I go on YouTube and just look at things, and I might like it. They say subscribe, and then I don't really want it. I want you to help me out to design this, but I don't want to follow that. But I may click thank you. But one of the things to make it a little bit more personal, to do general, it's like one of the things that I share with my listeners and even those who are listening now. it makes a difference when we are sharing and you share your point of view, even
Mhm.
if you disagree with what I'm saying. And we're
Mhm.
not trying to start a fight, just saying, well, actually see it differently. I don't know how that's going to work. Share something. There's an exchange of energy. And
Mhm.
sometimes people get their full, but the person giving, because there isn't that energetic exchange, can feel drained.
Mhm.
It's,
Yep.
it can feel drained. So there's something to write a comments like, this is very helpful. Oh, this reminded me of something that I'm dealing with. This is how this is helping me. Because it
Mhm.
opens up a lot more. And
Right.
sometimes, social media is teaching us about engagement. But the things that social media is teaching us about are things that we have to do. We have in us to do naturally, to engage.
Mhm.
To
Mhm.
engage. It's not just about marketing and promotion and business. It's about when you engage with another, they know you're there. You know
Mhm.
they're there. And it makes a difference.
Yeah.
It makes a difference. And
Yeah.
especially the kind of work that we do, it's easily taken for granted. Like, oh yeah,
Mhm.
that was so much great advice. But the person delivering the message, before the show, we're going through, okay, all right, let's do this. Oh, let's create another link. And then I used to be like, I'm rushing to appear calm before the show. I'm like, oh my God, I got 10 minutes. Oh, I need to get some water. I'm like, oh God, let me take a deep breath. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good day to you, wherever you are. And then I'm like, oh, my heart is pumping. It's like, help us out here. There's a lot of work that goes into bringing something that seems so simple and like, oh,
Mhm.
connect with your
Mhm.
breath. There's a
And
lot of inner work that happens.
especially in a format like this where we can't see the people that we're talking to. You know,
Yes.
if they don't leave a comment, then I don't know that they're actually
Yeah.
watching. And so like that's what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying. In this group of 1,000 people, I'm showing up weekly, and people are
Mm-hmm.
like, thanks, but they're not leaving a comment. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
well, I'm putting this out. I think people are watching. Tell me
Right.
something.
Yeah.
I have a curiosity around this,
Hmm.
Okay.
because I have a curiosity because when people are professionals and they make it look easy, which is what we all strive to do, right? Like we strive to show up and be fully engaged and present and make it look easy and make it look like anybody could do it, right?
Hmm.
And I think because of the sheer numbers of people doing it, I think there is a little bit of a I think there's a little bit of a myth, kind of what you were speaking to at and Cecile about like, there's all this behind the scenes stuff, practical stuff, business stuff, and emotional and spiritual stuff, right? To
Hmm.
get to this, right? And whether
Mm-hmm.
it's on social media or it's somebody that you're showing up to a workshop to live
Mm-hmm.
or in
Hmm.
person.
Yes.
Um, so I think tying it back to that original question about checking on our strong people, right?
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody I know, literally, I mean, almost everybody I know is struggling right now.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Whether that's with personal, whether that's with professional, or whether that's with the world, or most people, it's a combo of all of
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
Um, and the leaders are struggling as they hold communities for people who are struggling. Because we know,
Hmm.
y'all, we know trauma's real. We know
Hmm.
secondary trauma's real. We're processing a lot of information. We're processing a lot of feelings. We're processing a lot of trauma and stress
Mm-hmm.
in almost every body right now.
Hmm.
Yes. Yes. Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah. I think
Hmm.
it's a new way of thinking. It's this idea of thinking where it looks like there's um, tragedy. That's where we need to put our attention because we need to go fix that so that it doesn't happen. Yes, put attention there. Pay attention to the ones who are supporting you, putting attention there. When you think about trending on Twitter or anything that's trending, it's because a lot of people are putting their attention to it. And sometimes it
Hmm.
pops up. I'm like, oh, what is that about? And then I'm like, but the algorithm just tells you more people putting attention on it. It doesn't tell you what it is or whatever. So sometimes we get so caught up in what is trending that we ignore what isn't trending that actually maybe needs to trend or needs some attention. And
Hmm.
it's an art. It's an art that we learn to say, we got so many ways to communicate. Reach out to, and I think also maybe part of this, I don't know, but I kind of feel it is maybe part of it is just a way, yeah, it's a way that we are being in the world. We think like we've been talking about. Someone is strong, they're good. They're the one you go to. But
Mhm.
how are you dealing with people in your
Mm.
family? A sibling, your mother, your father, your son, who never gets any letter, who's never in detention, but maybe it's your daughter that's always getting in trouble. That you're like putting all the attention on this one. I really
Mhm.
want you to get through school, but what about the son who doesn't get? He needs attention too.
Mhm.
So it's a way of coming alive and waking up and being more aware. It's not to add more stress, but just start the day. It's like, show me whoever you want to ask, whatever it is, divine, the universe, show me where I need to be more present today. My
Mhm.
Mhm.
intention is to be present today. It doesn't have to be a stressful thing like one more thing. Now I have to post something on Cecile's and Christine's and that. My
Yes,
life is
you
busy.
do. Yes, you do.
Right. If you're watching, why not? If you're doing dishes, at the end, say, I was listening, I couldn't post anything, but what you said was on point. That makes a difference. However, starting the day with the right intention. Where do I need to be present today? What do I need to
Mhm.
focus my attention on today? Just asking the question opens up something inside of you to notice the things that normally we would have missed.
Mhm.
To that point, one of my practices, and it's one I have to remind myself of because I used to do it regularly when we were driving a lot, right? And that shut down the last 2 years here. And I don't know that I'm ever going back to it, honestly, in Atlanta traffic, but that's a whole side story. But what I would used to do is when I would get in the car, I'd take a moment to take a deep breath and I would say, who do I need to call today? And I will still do it when I'm not in the car. I just like doing it, on the hands-free speaker. I like multitasking, but that's a whole nother story. But I mean, I still do that sometimes. Like I just get quiet and I pause and I think, who do I need to call today?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Right. And a person's face or a person's or a conversation I had with somebody or and it's very often not the client or the colleague who has something on fire right now. It's often the
Mhm.
quiet one, right? It's the
Yes.
one that I hadn't called in a couple of months or I hadn't
Mhm.
thought about because things have been really quiet on their end,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And I think it's human nature that we put out the fires first, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I love this about putting attention and intention to the places that we maybe don't think about as often or the people we don't think about as often.
Mhm. Yeah. I was talking to this woman. She's a therapist, and we were talking about something like this, and she was telling me that basically saying you teach people how to treat you, and if you show up as strong all the time, then that's what people are going to expect. And and while I agree with that, I also think
Mhm.
that it's that it's everyone's responsibility to pay attention to the people who show up for you.
Give what you want.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I
Give
get
what
that
you
about
want.
teaching people how
Mhm.
to treat you. If you always show up as strong, then people are going to see you that way. And,
Yeah.
you know, if you're showing up as strong for people, then those same people should have the courtesy to at
Mhm.
least turn around and look you in the face or, reach out and say something to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
You know, and yes, because we're focusing on those that are strong.
Mhm.
And one thing I can say is, because as we said earlier, well, I'd say, yeah, everybody ain't qualified to hear my story. It's not personal.
Mhm.
It's just based on how they live, how they see the
Mhm.
world.
Mhm.
And sometimes you can share your story with somebody, and you're like, okay, I am now going more deep into more deep crap. I was not trying to go there. I just found my balance just before we started talking. Now you pry my fingers off my hand. But not everybody can handle it. But the thing is, of course, for the strong ones or the quiet ones, should I say, the strong ones and the quiet ones, it's also important for us to have a circle of people. Like I
Mhm.
think that I know that gets me through because there's somebody I can reach out to. It doesn't matter what it is.
Mhm.
And sometimes there's some people I can have a sort of conversation with, and others I can have a different conversation with. It's almost like having tools in the house. You have different cutleries for different things. I
Mhm.
have those people I can reach to for something, for a particular thing, and I have the ones I'm like, I don't know. But it's a way of, for me, it's a way of being and a way of living, and it calls us. We're calling those in places of leadership
Mhm.
to step
Mhm.
up and be more aware and be
Mhm.
more conscious. And we are to do that. So when we're calling somebody up and out, that means we're calling ourselves out, up and out as well. So when we all become the example of what we want to see, and just when I even say all, I'm not even talking about the whole human being. Oh, we don't need that much. We don't need a lot of everybody doing the same thing. But what would happen
No.
is now people start talking about embodiment practices. One point it was like, what the hell are you talking about? Taking a deep breath? Are you crazy? Yoga. But now you say yoga. Everybody in the 80s or 5, everybody's doing yoga because it's not as a mass consciousness. It's really open to it. But I think we just need more people to be more of what they're demanding and asking and requesting
Right.
those who believe they have power.
Right. And I'll say too, with all of the connectedness that we have now with social media and all of these different platforms, you keep seeing these studies that say the more we're on social media, the less connected we actually feel. And so, well, I totally lost my thought where I was going with that, but it's something is coming up for me about um, getting off of social media and actually connecting with people that you know. For one thing, if you've got their phone number, you can send a text or you can call. You can leave a voice message like I do with you a day on a Signal.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
have to be a face-to-face conversation all the time, and it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be a real-time conversation. You can leave that message and know that the other person is going to get it in a few hours and will send you something back. Um, and there's also something coming up for me about even on social media, there are ways to use it to foster that engagement that you were talking about
Yes.
and that
Yes.
connection that you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of just scrolling and looking and mindlessly going, oh, that's cute, and then not engaging with any of it. When you
Yeah.
do start to leave comments and you start not just to talk to the person who necessarily made the post, but you can get in conversations with other people who are
Mm-hmm.
watching, who are
Mm-hmm.
having similar feelings or having opposite
Yes.
feelings or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
there's something to be said for that kind of engagement, you know, too, as a way to connect. And I think that there's all this potential with all the different ways to connect, and that so many of us are missing it because we're afraid to say anything or afraid to put ourselves out there, even if it's just to say, I really like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You talking about that, Cecile, makes me think of groups I've participated in over the years on social media. And, I think it's a yes and
Mhm.
about, can it disconnect us or connect us? I think it can do both depending on
Mm-hmm.
what,
How you use it?
where
Yeah.
how
Mhm.
we use it. But
Yeah.
I really feel called to
Mhm.
call my friend TJ Worthington's name. TJ and I met in a daily creative practice group and for art that where you create it every day, and he and I
Mhm.
had this really beautiful friendship over rocks and different cairns, and he was a self-proclaimed curmudgeon. So like he was from Appalachia, and he was this artist and folk musician, but like looking at him you'd have been like, what, like and some of the and we had this beautiful friendship online, never met each other. We had plans to meet each other. This was years ago, and he
Mm-hmm.
passed away of a major heart attack.
Mm-hmm.
And it really at that time showed me the power of connection because I
Yes.
grieved him
Mm-hmm.
like we had a friendship,
Mhm.
and it was all social media
Mhm.
and we had not met, and
Mm-hmm.
it was one
Mhm.
of those things that it was powerful. It was an
Mm-hmm.
awakening to me, you know, my
Mhm.
age, my, y'all, like we didn't have internet growing up. Like this is
Right.
like, I'm one of those moms that are like, if something goes wrong, I'm like, that's social media, that internet, get off the internet. Even though it's
Right.
my job and my profession, especially after the last 2 years. But
Yes.
I
Yes.
just want to, like, it is, and I think I also want to speak his name too, because he was one of the strong, quiet ones, and he died of a
Mm,
massive heart attack way too young. Right.
Mhm,
So, talking about like what
mhm,
we talked about last week.
mhm.
Hi, Delilah. I wanted to give you a shout out when you said so true earlier. Hello,
yes. I
hello.
love that name.
Right. So,
Mhm.
thinking
Hey,
about
Mom.
the caregiving and the strong, quiet ones are the people that handle things, right? Like we talked about
Mhm.
last week, that it is dangerous if we're not
Yeah.
taking care of ourselves or our
Yes.
communities, or
Mhm,
and y'all, the past 2 years, like suicide rates, homicide rates, everything is escalating.
mhm,
Mm-hmm.
And
mhm,
Mm-hmm.
checking on people's a real thing. Even if it's
mhm,
just by messenger, if it's just by just what we were saying, a text or a funny
mhm,
meme, or if it
Mm-hmm.
has to be a voice message, that's
mhm. I know
sorry, that was
that's
for
not your
my
thing.
friend Daddy.
Hashtag inner joke, inside joke. Don't worry about it.
Well, to that point, everybody has their different preference, right? And that's how
Mhm.
especially people that you're friends with. Like, what is their preference, right? How do they like to be communicated with? But
Mhm.
it's I don't know. I don't know where I was going with
And
this
the
train of thought.
we
Totally
know. We
left
know where you went
sidetrack.
with that.
Totally
You had a
yeah.
moment. You didn't digress. You just made a point.
yeah, she was specifically to you.
Yes,
I
because she
really
gets
didn't
impatient.
I really didn't start. You know what I want to say though, actually? Let
Okay,
me
good. Go
speak to
ahead.
that really quick.
Yes.
It's an accessibility issue for me. So I
Mm-hmm.
am
Mhm,
was diagnosed with ADD, ADHD when I was in my 20s. And some things, I've had coping skills and I have had things for years that I just take for granted. But sometimes new technology trips me up. So what I realized with voice message, not voicemail, which trips me up too, but the voice messages that you listen to and disappear, it just doesn't work for me. Like I lose it, or I can't
oh,
do it.
mhm,
And if I read something, or if it's transcribed, if I can read it, if it's text, like I am going to hold it, especially if it's something I need to do, like follow up on or things like that. So I think it's for me personally, I think it brings up insecurity about not responding or missing to, because that's a thing I
mhm,
struggle with already, being neurodiverse. And people like y'all, this time space continuum when somebody's neurodiverse is real. Like I can think I've talked to somebody and 2 weeks have gone by. And I'll have to, if I
mm.
look, I'm like, oh wow, 2 weeks have gone, which is a really good thing to bring up when we're talking about checking in on people,
Yeah,
right?
it's. I was just
Mhm,
thinking the same thing. This is
Right.
good, and we're being used as an
mhm.
example. And I don't mind because transparency. The times I send Christine a message, I'm like, really, Christine, you're not going to respond. It's like I'm not asking her anymore. I genuinely have an attitude,
I
but
know.
then I work through it and let it go. And then if I send another one, she doesn't respond. I might just say, "Come on
Yo,
now." No,
let
no,
me
hold
tell
on,
you.
hold on. I'm going somewhere. I'm going somewhere with this. I'm
Okay.
really see hearing this information
Where you going?
makes me more understanding now, and I also understand too. Like sometimes if I hear something, I forget if I read it.
Mhm,
And you've actually been one of those people that's pushed me to type my messages, especially
mhm.
if it's asking
Mhm,
something to do with business or something I know I need to track. It's hard to track a voice note to find out what you
yes.
said or what I said. But the
Mhm,
other thing is sometimes I'm moving so much that for me to like, hey Christine, can oh my God. Hey Christine, I just wanted to know if you got that email. Please let me know. Okay, bye. Gone. So
So going forward, my friend, you have permission just to say hi, C, and then say whatever you need to say. Like, it's okay. if you need to shorten the name, if you need to. But
Yeah.
what I was going to say when you were keeping going was how Ade responds, which is funny and connecting depending on the day. Is
Yes.
this little gif of this foot tap that he does. He does this foot
Um,
tap gif.
yeah. It's like I'm still waiting.
Well, I
But
would
I
say
think
I
it's
would say
important to bring. Go ahead. Sorry, Cecile.
yeah. I was gonna say in support of what Christine said, if somebody sends me a disappearing message, they might as well
uh,
not send me anything
yeah.
because if I don't write stuff down, if I don't have a way to look at it, I'm not gonna remember unless I handle it right then. And
Hmm.
so, yeah, if you send me a disappearing message, just know that
It
Yeah.
yeah,
disappeared
that's it
off
It,
every
disappeared.
off every
on
plane of
all levels.
existence.
On
Off
all
every
levels.
plane of existence.
Yes.
Yeah,
Keyword is disappears.
I'm s
It's not going to be retained.
yeah,
And I think it's good to know
exactly.
this about the people that we're in conversation with. You know, there's a lot of things about social media, and people make social media. I mean, I understand that it can be used to cause harm, but sometimes we forget that it's people that's on social media.
Yeah.
And of
Mhm,
course, the companies that put all this stuff out, they're investing lots of money to understand how the brain works to keep us
mhm,
attached to it. But it's also people that are using this. So I mean, there's a part of it that I say social media is neutral to some extent because it's
mhm,
specifically designed for us to use a certain kind of way. But it's I have a friend, Jackie. I've known now for maybe 8 years. Never met before. We almost talk every day. Now it's
mhm,
usually WhatsApp, messaging, or sometimes I'm just like, I haven't heard from you in about 3 days. What's going on? And oftentimes, when she's quiet, something's going on.
Mhm.
And then she would
mhm,
check on me too. And we can form connections, relationship in the most unusual way, even if it's
mhm,
just a book club. If it's a book club, there are ways to just stay engaged. One of the things, the
mhm,
most important medicine of this time is community. Forget the idea. I just
mhm.
don't have time. I don't have time. You don't have time not to have time to connect with another, because that's what
Right.
strengthens us. Being in a space, whether it's
Mhm,
if you do coffee on Zoom, you can do that. You can do coffee. So what's going
mhm.
on? Just as you asked me
Well,
earlier,
I would
Christine, before we came on, what's going on in London,
mhm.
UK? I thought you were talking about UK, but you're asking me. So you're actually, how are you doing? So
Yeah.
anyway, go ahead.
If it wasn't for social media, I wouldn't know either one of y'all. I mean,
Exactly.
I met both of y'all through social
Exactly.
media and still haven't met you in
Yeah.
real life a day. So,
That's
yeah.
yep.
Let's plan a retreat.
And now I'm like,
I
I don't
know.
know what I would
Playing
do
with
without either one of you
possibilities
because I
retreat.
talk to you all the time. Yes.
I'm down with it. Christine
Yep.
been trying to do the retreat, and we were trying to do Christine and I were trying to do a podcast. We almost sound like we're having like one of those shows that called the Talk or the View. Like we're just talking to one another. We have our own hot topics. But Christine has been wanting us to do a retreat for a long time. It didn't happen. She wanted us to do a podcast called Play with Possibilities, and when you came into the equation, so maybe now the retreat will happen.
You
Right?
were
We
waiting
even
for
have our
me. Y'all just
location.
waiting for me.
We totally were. So we've already done some work around this, Cecile. I don't think you even know this yet. Like, we were talking
No, I
about
don't.
South Africa, we were talking about Brazil,
Yes.
Mhm.
we were talking about Costa
Costa
Rica,
Rica. Yep.
We were talking
Mhm.
about Mexico. Like we were doing
Okay.
some
I'm there.
really listening about where to meet and do this,
Portugal. Let's add Portugal to that list
right?
because we need places that are closer to me too.
Right.
Because
Okay.
traveling
Yes.
14 hours is a bit much.
Right? Right? That I absolutely I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean, we could come
mhm.
to the UK, my friend, but
Yeah. You
we
can.
let's yeah.
I'd
You know,
rather us
it's
meet
not on
somewhere.
the exotic, it's not on the like really destination list, is it? Like I'm sure for
It
some
is.
people
It is
it
for
is,
some
but
people. It
it's
is
yeah.
for some people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Let's leave
right.
it.
Yeah, that's a whole nother show, isn't it?
Yes, it
But yeah,
is.
different show. It's a different show.
Oh my God. Yeah, this
Oh,
has been good.
oh, yeah. All right. So, what are you talking about tomorrow on the B and U podcast today?
Oh well, really, I want to talk to people, the few people actually, the few people who want to be successful. who really want to be
Mm,
successful. I'm not just talking about financial success. I'm talking about successful in life.
mm.
And we're going to be talking about how being you, being yourself, is actually the code that helps you crack the code of being successful.
Okay. All right.
Other than that, everything else is just distractions.
Okay. All right.
So you can go to youtube.com/life coach Ade, life coach ADE, 1 p.m. Eastern.
I so want to
All
have
right.
this discussion with you, my friend. Like I know we're wrapping up here, but I want to have this conversation or show up on your show tomorrow and talk with you.
Mhm.
Because I was doing some sacred astrology this weekend and really looking at from the feminine perspective of like the planets and the chart and all this stuff. And really, it was about the same message, like showing up as you are and who you are,
Mhm.
and that and using the gifts you've been given and the support you've been given to get there through the fastest path. So
It is.
I love that you're talking about that tomorrow.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank
It's
you.
awesome.
Thank you. Can I just drop another shameless plug?
Yeah.
On the 18th, next Saturday, this coming Saturday, actually, June 18th, 3 p.m. Eastern, I think it is, but you can find it. I'm hosting an event called Representing Our Ancestors. We're doing a grief ritual.
Okay. Yep.
And the link for the
Mhm.
information is bit.ly/ancestral healing and the number 9. bit.ly/ancestral healing and the number 9. Don't type and the number 9. I'm saying number 9. Some people might be like, and the number 9. No, don't do that.
Like that. Is that right?
Yeah, that's
Right?
correct. Yeah, you got it. Yep. There you go. Click on that and join. Let's heal together. Healing
It is
happens in
probably a
community.
good thing you spoke that because somebody would be like,
Just like
And
ancestral healing
the
and the
number.
number
it
9.
didn't work.
Right. Christine, what
All
are you
right.
talking
So
about?
yeah, I was going to say, Christine, what are
Was
you
it a
talking
surprise
about on Women
show?
Connected in Wisdom?
Yeah, Women Connected in Wisdom podcast. We're talking about social wellness on Wednesday. We are
Mhm.
talking
Social
about social wellness, one of the 8 dimensions of wellness. Yeah.
wellness.
It's
Mhm.
it should be a good show. I think it's episode number 72 this week. That's whoop whoop.
72. Wow.
Right? Right? And we're working on our upcoming book that's going to be launched in September, Women Connected in
Mhm.
Wisdom, stories and resources grounded in the 8 dimensions of wellness with Cecile is one of the authors of that book.
I
So,
feel
Yes.
left
yeah,
out, but okay. Maybe
right?
next lifetime if I choose to come
Well,
back as a woman.
Right?
I was going to say, hey, it
I
is,
get
it
a
is,
ghost rider for me.
it's
How
a
about that? Can we get
women.
a ghost rider? That's my way into the book. I find
It's
a
the
woman.
women.
Right? Right?
What happened to equality?
Yes, we had this conversation. It's interesting that you say that, my friend. Like we really
Hmm.
had this conversation,
Hmm.
and one of the things we
Mhm.
talked about is in service to equality. Because you
Yeah.
look at what
Mhm.
women are still paid compared to men, and
Hmm.
especially
Hmm.
Black women compared to
Hmm.
white men.
Mhm.
Hmm.
And yes, I believe in equality, and one of the ways that to be a servant of it is to give women a platform
I'm
to have
joking, but
their
I,
voice.
and,
I
I,
know
and
you
I'm so
are.
in support of that. I mean, of
I know.
course. I mean, we don't need a
Mhm.
world where everything has to be done by everybody. I mean, come on. I mean, I don't try and go to a store and saying
Mhm.
I want a pair of shoes, but it's got to fit my hands. I mean, come on. That's ridiculous. I want a pair of shoes for my feet. She's like, I'm suing you because your shoes don't fit my hand. That's kind of like what that sounds like to me. It's like, go sit down somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think we have to
Mhm.
have these conversations though sometimes because we really
Yeah.
did wrestle with it. And we were like, should we just be connected
Mhm.
with women? You couldn't connected in wisdom, right? See, the women just keep wanting to pop up. And we really thought about it and our values and why we wanted to do this work together and build
Mhm.
community. And
Mhm.
so I know you're fully in support of us, my friend.
Oh,
I
of
just
course.
wanted to speak to it
Yeah.
because it's a thing. Yeah.
It's a
It
thing.
is a thing.
Doctors are not going to write for plumbers. Plumbers will have their things. Doctors will have their own thing. It's just the way it is. That's life. Go ahead, sister.
Mhm.
I'm off
Yeah,
my
it is a thing. I saw a lot of
soapbox.
that. I saw a lot of what you were just talking about on social media this weekend when I was looking, because I watched the hearings, January 6th committee hearing on Thursday, and then when I was looking at comments, and it's also Pride Month, and so people are going to the marches and the parades and things, and I keep seeing comments about people saying, "Oh, if we keep talking about how we're different, we're just going to divide people, and why shouldn't it be for everyone?" And all these different responses, basically saying that any of these marginalized groups who are fighting for space and to be recognized, if we just don't talk about it, then it's not won't be a problem. And 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 every time I see that, I'm just like, they might not explicitly recognize that what they're doing is actually defending white male supremacy, but that's what that is, because it's saying,
Right.
you know, if you don't fit the mold, if you don't fit dominant culture, don't speak so I'm not uncomfortable. If
Mm-hmm.
you're quiet, then I
Hmm.
can stay comfortable. So it's like, why isn't this for everyone? If we keep talking about it, that's just creating more division. No, it's not. It's recognizing our
That sounds
differences,
like
but that doesn't have to create division.
privilege with a mouthpiece. That's all that
Right.
is.
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
you understand that, oh, that is important. That is necessary.
Mhm.
We're equal,
Right.
and that is necessary.
Right. I don't have to erase who you are so I can be comfortable and you don't have to look exactly like me or be exactly like me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Christine, what were you going to say?
Oh,
Christine was going to say something.
No, I'm just
Oh,
well, the only thing I would add to that whole piece is, silence is complicity. So
yes
mm,
it
that,
is.
yeah, that it's
Mhm.
important to name it and to have the conversations. And
Mhm.
there's room to have the conversations and for all of us. And also just yes to the day that there is equality.
Yeah.
So it's a non-issue. I'm ready. Come
Well,
on,
as
bring
much
it.
as I
and
love
equality would
equality,
look like what we're talking about, where groups of women write books, where there's pride. That's equality. It doesn't mean we all have to do the same thing together. I mean,
Right.
I could be married
mhm.
to my wife, and doesn't mean I have to do everything that she does with her friends. I mean, it's not that deep. Anyway, I have an idea.
Mhm.
We're calling this podcast Playing with Possibilities. And
Yes.
today I feel like
Mhm.
maybe we need to start taking topics from viewers. And we
Mhm.
have our sort of where we speak to the topics because we seem to do that
Well,
very
I
well.
don't
That
know. I don't know
diverse
if you
point of view.
noticed. I don't know if you noticed, but on the thing when I post saying that we're going to go live, I say, "Is there anything you want to talk about? Send one of us a DM." So
Mm,
I've been asking.
Okay.
So if y'all
all
have
Love
right.
something
it.
y'all want to talk about, you can reach out to any one of us.
Okay. I
Yep.
would love that. We'll
All
bring
right.
our diverse perspective to it.
Mhm. Well, I've
Because
been
we love doing
asking.
this
It's an
podcast. We
opportunity.
love doing this. I mean, this live stream.
We do.
Right.
Yeah.
I was about to say,
All
what you
right.
just
It's
call that?
right. I heard that, and I'm not saying anything. I heard it, and I'm not responding to that. This is a live stream. This is a live stream. Okay, so this week on my blog post, I think I'm writing about the committee hearings because the first one was this past Thursday. There's one going on this morning, another one that's happening on Wednesday. I think there's 7 in total, and there was so
Wow.
much stuff that came out in the first one that hasn't been in the news yet, and so I'm writing about that because it's important and people need to know and people need to pay
Yes.
attention and we need to get out and vote. Um, because this is a precarious time and we have a choice. We have a choice on what we're going to allow to happen to this country or not. And then
And
also on, go ahead.
can I lift up really quick something you said yesterday in the Meditations for Persistence group? And I
Hmm.
loved how you said it. You said, if all of us will get out and vote and get one new person registered to vote and to the polls, we will make a
Hmm.
difference. So
Yep.
I just wanted to lift that up, those wise words
Oh,
that you said yesterday. That
okay.
I think often when people are listening, they get overwhelmed, especially with the news and the fire hose of, oh my
Hmm.
Mhm.
gosh, right? Because if you're paying
Hmm.
attention, it is
Oof.
overwhelming right now.
Hmm.
And so thinking that one action that you said, like
Yeah.
check your voter registration to make sure it's
Hmm.
still active, and then let's get one other like y'all, it doesn't have to be huge numbers. If we all do a
Right.
little bit, we can shift this.
And the one
Incremental
saying I
steps.
don't vote because they're all the same. Guess what? Your no vote is a vote.
Whew.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is. And they're not the same, y'all.
Yep.
Pay attention.
Right.
Pay
Right.
attention.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
Exactly.
Hmm. And
Yep.
every vote counts, not just the national elections. I just voted last week in the primary for city
Primaries.
council.
Mhm,
Every vote counts.
mhm.
Literally,
Okay.
you
So
saying that, Cecile, in the
uh-huh.
last city council election, it was the one before this.
Hmm.
The candidate that I was backing won by 4 votes. Those are, I took 4 people to the polls. Like, it may not have
Wow.
been my 4 people
Right.
that put them over, but it was a 4, like in the runoff, they
Four
won by 4
votes.
votes.
Wow.
Right.
4.
So,
Hmm.
especially in local elections and
Wow.
county
Hmm.
elections, every vote, and y'all, that makes a huge difference to our
Yes.
everyday lives. And then
Mm,
what
Yep.
goes up? All right, I'm on my
Hmm.
soapbox. I will get
Yeah.
off.
That's
That's okay.
okay. That's okay. It's all
We got
important.
so
It's
many.
all
That's why we're
important.
doing this. We're,
Right.
we're soapbox experts. We're making more and more every day.
All right. So the last thing that I wanted to mention is Thursday at 2 o'clock Eastern time. I am doing a free webinar called Everybody versus Racism.
Yay.
Yes. And so I'm talking about how white supremacy and racism was designed to be invisible to white people, and then what we can do to create
Mm,
equity every day. So it's just going to be
nice.
a 1 hour conversation. Um, I guess I should put it in here.
Yeah,
I don't know why I
and
didn't do this before.
remind the people to bring their deep breath and a glass of water.
And
'Cause-
friends, because
Yes,
everybody
that's
needs
it.
to hear it.
That's right. Because it's racism
Yes.
versus everybody, right?
Right? Right?
Right. Yep. Everybody needs to hear it. So if you are either new to equity, new to the Black Lives Matter protests, new to, fighting racism, and you just don't even get it, you're like, I know it's wrong, but that's all I know, then this is the place for you, because I'm going to talk to you about how it got started, why it was designed to be invisible, why it was made for you not to see it on purpose. So it's not
Mhm,
just, oh, you didn't get it because you're dumb. It's like, oh, no, you didn't get it because it was set up for you not to see it until somebody pointed it out to you. And then once
mhm,
somebody points it out, then we can talk about what we can do. Because equity is not just a hashtag or a value or an ideal. Equity is something that you do. And so, what I do on and Inspired by Indigo is teach people how to make equity a habit. You need to make it something
mhm,
that you do every day. Make that
yes.
something that you live, not just something that you talk about.
Mhm. Be what you want to see.
Exactly.
Mhm. Mm.
All right, y'all.
I love you both. This is
Love you
so
too,
so
my friend.
fun, so
Love you
joyful.
Grateful.
Yes,
too.
thank you.
Grateful to
All
work for
right.
your work in the
It's
world.
Yes, thank you.
both of
Same here.
y'all. All
Thank you,
right. Sending
Cecile.
everybody off with fierce love. Fierce love.
Peace, love.
Have a great week, y'all.
All right. See you next
Bye.
time.
Blessings.